Greetings! I am Rob Chapman, your friendly neighborhood guitar teacher today, I suppose. I'm going to be teaching you 3 scales that you simply cannot exist without if you are into blues, funk, reggae, metal, steampunk guitar. Does steampunk guitar even exist? I don't think it does. Probably doesn't. I've got Sylvia on B-Cam. I'm going to be teaching you these 3 scales and more importantly how to incorporate them into your music, how to use them, because it's great to learn a shape, but it doesn't mean a thing if you can't actually practically apply it into your music. If you are a complete beginner, please use this video as if it is a resource. Learn a thing, go away, have a beer, have some rice, fries, whatever you eat in your country of origin, and please tell me what you're eating because I am currently very hungry. And learn that thing, practice it up good, come back, get some more of the guitar education pie that I will be dishing out to you in this lesson today. Before we kick off, here are some tuning notes for you. It might be easy for you to tune to the sound of my guitar if you're a beginner. However, if you can't do that, please use an electronic tuning device. For example, the Boss TU pedals are excellent and what I use all of the time. Here is an E string for you. Here is an A string. Here is a D string. Here is a G string. Here is a B string. And here is another E string. The first scale we're going to learn is fundamentally the most important scale you will ever learn, irrespective of style. It is the minor pentatonic scale. I'm going to be teaching you it in A, and it sounds like this. Here's how it looks and how to play it nice and slow. First finger is going to go on the A note, which is the 5th fret on the E string. And then the little finger is going to reach out, and you can only do this if your thumb is behind the neck and your wrist is sunk to allow you to play the 8th fret on the E string. So you would go. Some folks will use a 3rd finger, which is even harder really, but the little finger is what I want you to try and do. From here, bring the 1st finger down to the A string. And again, we're going to stick, actually this finger is only going to play the 5th fret all the way down. That's all it's going to do. So 5th fret on the A string. 3rd finger is going to play the 7th fret. Down a string. 1st finger always on the 5th fret. Again, we're going to play the 7th fret on this string. 1st finger down. Again, 5th fret. Again, we're playing the 7th fret. 5th fret. Little finger is going to reach out and play the 8th fret. 1st finger, 5th fret. And then 8th fret again. I don't make this shape when I'm playing the scale. I'm just trying to give you as much visibility as possible on the scale. So here's how it sounds and looks. So how do we use this scale? This is the most important thing to understand. You get the information and then you learn to practically apply the information. I want you to imagine that this pattern of notes is a mobile thing that you can move around the fretboard. In the example I've just taught you, we played an A because the first note we played was an A note. However, if I'd played it here, it would have been A sharp. If I played it here, it would have been E. If I played it here, it would have been G. So where you play it is the origin note, the first note, is the tonic, is the root of that scale. So if I'm playing, for example, a G chord like this, in this instance, this is just what we call a power chord. It doesn't have a major tonality, it doesn't have a minor tonality, it's just a chord with a root and a fifth and a root again. In this instance, I can play the G minor pentatonic scale, starting on the G note and play the same pattern, keeping the fingers the same distance apart. Randomize the notes, play around with them, bend some of them and experiment with where it takes you, and you'll find that you're playing a solo. Here is an example of that right now in G. Wherever you play a power chord, you can play a minor pentatonic scale. It's really exciting. Power chords are great because they kind of don't have a major vibe, don't have a minor vibe. They are non-major, non-minor, just a bunch of notes. If you play a minor chord, say for example I'm playing an A minor 7 chord, which is just a bar, and then my second finger is playing a fifth note. I can play my minor pentatonic scale exactly where I'm playing the chord. So if you're playing a minor chord or a power chord, you can whack that scale directly on top, provided your first note is the root note of that chord. So a G power chord, G pentatonic. A chord, A pentatonic. Let's move on to scale number 2, which is exactly the same shape. I'm just going to move it. So here is the A minor chord I was playing earlier. But what if I'm playing an A major chord instead? Let's brighten up the sound. Well, that wouldn't work playing the same scale. You could make it work, but it would sound a bit unorthodox. So instead, you take the same scale shape and you move it down, flat, 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. So your little finger now starts on the tonic, the root note, the A note. So here's the A chord. Little finger on that A chord, A note. And then you play your scale. Here's a close-up of how that works. So we put our little finger on the A note and play the scale like this. Now I've got another A chord just here, so it's a little bit more practical to play this chord and then play some of those notes. They actually fall around where my chord is. And this is an A string, so I can play the note and pull off to the open string. Practicality, how do we apply this scale? Wherever you play a major chord, you can put your little finger on the tonic, on the root note, and then play that scale and it will fit with the chord. So for example, if I wanted to play a G major chord, put my little finger on the G, and then imagine playing the same scale shape. You'll soon find, and this is common, that the nut here takes the place of a finger. It's even easier. So we only have to go. Now I wouldn't be using my little finger for this, I would cheat. So here's a nice big fat friendly G major chord. If you are not familiar with chord shapes, I've got a cool video all about 10 chords that you absolutely need to learn, but this is a G major, and to play the major pentatonic scale, you put your little finger on the root and imagine playing the scale shape. But because this nut is taking place of the first finger, I can forget the little finger and just use these 3 fingers to facilitate the scale. So open E, because the nut is playing it. 3rd fret, open A. So just the A string on its own. 2nd fret, open D. 3rd fret, open G. Open B. 3rd finger, open E. 3rd finger. So really it's mostly 3rd finger for the 3rd fret and 2nd finger for the 2nd fret. You've got a minor scale for minor chords. You've got a major version of that scale for major chords. But let me give you one more scale that is really useful, because you can move this scale to create all kinds of cool sounds that we call the modes. And it's something that I want to slightly demystify. It's really one shape that we're going to move around to create different kinds of sound. It is a major scale, as in there are 7 notes. It's technically a diatonic major scale. 7 notes. We're going to be playing this in the key of C, because a lot of beginner lessons are in C, because there are no sharps or flats. It's just the letters C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So 1st finger on the 8th fret E string, and we're going to be playing what I call a major shape, which is 1st finger 8, 2nd finger on the 10th, and little finger on the 12th. You can only do this if your wrist is sunk. Otherwise, it will be really hard to play this shape, like this. And then the good news is that you're going to do exactly the same thing down on the A string. So far. Now, we're going to duplicate again. 1st finger comes down, and we're going to keep these 2 fingers playing the same frets. So now we've got this fret, and then 2nd finger here on the 10th, little finger on 12th. And then exactly the same again, 9, 10, 12. So far we've got. Now we're going to bring the 1st finger along a fret so that we're on the 10th fret, and we're going to be using 10, 12, 13. And then all over again the same shape on the E string. The whole scale looks like this. Why is this scale shape important? Is it practical? Can we use it? Absolutely. This is the best scale shape in the world. It can be any kind of sound depending on where you move it. And I've got an exercise for you to learn and to practice that will give you a glimpse of how this works. There's a big topic surrounding this. For example, if I'm playing in E, so I play an E string, and I want you to really hear that E. And then I play that scale shape from an E. You are going to hear an E major scale. I'll do that again for you. However, staying in E, if I drone that E string, but instead of playing it where my first finger plays an E, if I bring the whole thing back 2 steps, so my second finger is on the E, you will hear a completely different sound, despite the fact that the shape is the same. It will sound sad, but with a slightly happy vibe. We call this Dorian. Here's how it sounds. So we went from major to minor by shifting that shape backwards. Wherever you move it, you're going to get different sounds. It's going to be a whole world of adventuring for you. For example, try putting the 3rd note on an E and you're going to get a really cool sound. The sound's kind of Spanish and kind of evil, and it's great for metal. Here's my E note, 12th fret on the E string. I'll drone it for you so you can hear it. And I'm going to play the scale shape. Let's start the 2nd note on the E string. Let's start the 3rd note on the E string. I really want you to dip in and out of this video, treat it like a resource, as I said, experiment with the minor pentatonic, experiment with the major pentatonic, and then take that major diatonic 7-note scale and move it around, droning a note, and see what kinds of sounds you get. There are really 7 different kinds of tonality that you can achieve called the 7 diatonic modes. They're great, they're nutritious, they're delicious. You take it easy. I've been Rob Chapman. Chappers out.